Hello and welcome to another one of D's ADD videos. Today we're going to look at the approximation of area using 4 rectangles of this region. It's the same region that we looked at in the concept video that's drawn here. This was with 2 rectangles. We're going to do it with 4. So if you remember the steps for finite number of rectangles, we're going to find delta x and xi depending on whether we're using the lower or left endpoints. We use this formula here. Or if we use the upper or right endpoints, we use this formula here. So what we do now is we got to find delta x and we got to find x sub I. So let's start out by doing left endpoints. Write down the formula for delta x of b minus a over n, and in this case b is 2, a is 0, n was the number of rectangles, which was 4 rectangles. So 2 minus 0 over 4 gives you 1/2. There's your delta x. Now let's just do the lower endpoints for our first example. The formula is xi, which is the x value of the lower endpoint, is equal to a, the smaller of the 2 values of your boundaries of your domain, plus I minus 1, where I is the number of the rectangles. Plug in delta x, you get that for your x sub I. So now that we've calculated delta x and xi, which was step 1, let's find fxi. In order to do so, what you must do is you take your fx function, everywhere you see an x, plug in what you calculated for xi. So here is that process. I plug in the 1/2 I minus 1 plus 1, distribute the 1/2 through, and then combine your like terms, and then there's your f of xi. Finally, you evaluate the main formula, which is the summation from 0 to n of f of xi delta x. Our n is 4. There's your f of xi, which we calculated in step 2. There's your delta x calculated in step 1. Distribute the 1/2 through. In this case, we're going to replace this I with the definition of I, which you should have memorized. If you don't, let me refresh your memory. There's I right there. Okay, n times n plus 1 over 2. And then the constant rule was just the constant times n. Same place over here, constant times n. So now that we have it in terms of n, what was our n? N is 4. So everywhere you see these n's here, plug in a 4, and you'll get your approximate answer using rectangles, in this case 7/2. Alright? The only difference between lower endpoints and upper endpoints is that this xi formula will change from I minus 1 to I, but the rest of the process will be the same. And if you were doing this problem using infinite rectangles, instead of 4 finite rectangles, we have an infinite number. There would be a step here. Instead of plugging in 4, you would take the limit as n approaches infinity. That's one main difference. And also in your calculation of delta x, your b minus a over n, you leave n as n. Okay? So whenever you're plugging in, you'll have n's in the denominator, and what will happen is when you take the limit of n as n approaches infinity, those n's in the denominator will make things disappear to 0, allow you to get one finite answer. Okay? So check out the videos for the infinite number of rectangles. I'll do one upper endpoint as well. Practice, practice, practice. Thank you and have a nice day.